Ladies and gentlemen, you ever notice how people don't truly appreciate something until it's gone? Oh, we've all been there. When someone didn't value us the way they should, and then one day when we decide to step back, suddenly they wake up. Suddenly they miss us. Men start missing you more when they realize what they had was real, when they recognize that your presence brought peace, joy, and strength into their lives. See, it's not just about your beauty, your kindness, or even the love you gave. It's about the void they feel when you're no longer around. That silence speaks louder than words. People appreciate things more when they're gone. That's just human nature. We get so used to what we have that we start taking it for granted, assuming it will always be there. And then one day, when it's no longer within reach, that's when reality hits. That's when the value of what was once overlooked becomes painfully clear. You see, love, respect, and appreciation aren't always felt in the moment. Sometimes they're realized in the absence of what was once there. A man may not notice all the little things you did, the warmth you brought, or the way you made his life easier until you're no longer doing them. He may have been comfortable knowing you were always around, always forgiving, always understanding, but when you decide to step away, when you decide you will no longer be the one making all the effort, that's when the weight of your absence starts to press down on him. He might have thought your love was guaranteed, that no matter how much he neglected you or failed to appreciate you, you'd still be there. But life doesn't work like that, and neither does love. A woman can give and give, but even the most loving heart has limits. And when she reaches that limit, she doesn't announce it, she doesn't beg, she doesn't plead, she simply pulls back, and that's when the real lesson begins. That moment, ladies and gentlemen, is when he starts seeing everything differently. The texts he used to ignore now feel like a silence that's too loud. The calls he never returned now feel like missed opportunities he can't get back. The comfort of knowing you'd always be there turns into the discomfort of realizing he might have lost something truly special. The presence he once took for granted becomes the absence that haunts him. And let me tell you something, absence is powerful. It forces reflection. It forces a man to sit with his own thoughts, to ask himself why he didn't do more when he had the chance. And that's when he starts missing you. Not just in a casual way, but in a deep, soul-searching way. He starts remembering the way you laughed, the way you supported him, the way you made him feel like the best version of himself. He starts replaying memories, wishing he could go back, wishing he could change things. But here's the truth. Missing you doesn't mean he deserves another chance. It doesn't mean he's changed. It simply means he finally woke up to what he had. And sometimes that realization comes too late. Because while he was busy taking you for granted, you were learning how to live without him. You were learning how to love yourself more than you loved waiting for him to see your worth. So yes, people appreciate things more when they're gone. But that doesn't mean you should be the one who has to teach them that lesson, because a man who truly values you won't wait until you're gone to show it. He'll cherish you while he still has the chance. Men miss you when they realize your presence brought value to their life. At first, it may not seem obvious to them. They may assume that the love you gave, the kindness you showed, and the support you offered were just natural parts of their life, something that would always be there. But when you step away, when you no longer answer the calls or check in to see how they're doing, that's when they start to notice the shift. You see, true value is often unnoticed when it's constant. When you were there, they felt secure. When you encouraged them, they felt capable. When you loved them, they felt important. But they may not have connected those feelings directly to your presence. They may have thought they were just feeling good about themselves, never fully understanding that it was you who provided that safe space for them to grow, to dream, to be better. But once you remove yourself from that equation, suddenly the balance is off. The confidence they once had feels weaker. The comfort they once felt now seems distant. They start to realize that your presence wasn't just an addition to their life, it was a foundation. A man begins to miss you deeply when he sees that you are a woman of confidence and self-worth. Because the truth is, Value is not in the act of waiting for someone to recognize it. It's in knowing your own worth even when others fail to. When a woman walks away with grace, when she doesn't beg, doesn't plead, doesn't chase, that's when her presence becomes undeniable. A woman who respects herself sends a clear message. She was a privilege, not an option. And that message lingers long after she's gone. Men start missing you when they see that you are not waiting around for them to change their mind. When they see that your life doesn't stop because they didn't appreciate you, that realization is powerful. Because people expect that if they ignore you long enough, you will try harder. They expect that if they give you just enough attention, you will stay hopeful. But when you show that you are moving forward, building your own happiness and not looking back, that's when they truly feel your loss. That's when the regret settles in. They start replaying the moments when they had the chance to do better, the times they could have said thank you, the moments they should have held you closer instead of pushing you away. They start to recognize that what they had was rare. They start comparing every new interaction to what they lost, realizing that no one else makes them feel the way you did, that no one else sees them the way you saw them, that no one else will ever love them quite like you did. But by the time they understand that, you have already stepped into your power. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when missing you becomes more than just a passing thought. It becomes the weight of a mistake they can't undo. A man starts missing you when he realizes your presence brought value to his life. At first, he may not recognize what you truly meant to him. He may have thought that the love, support, and care you gave were just natural, something he could always count on. But when that presence is gone, when the warmth you once provided is no longer there, that's when he starts to feel the absence. He begins to notice the small things, the way you checked on him, the way you listened without judgment, the way you believed in him even when he doubted himself. He may have thought he was standing strong on his own, but the truth is you were his silent foundation. You gave him stability, a place where he could be himself without fear of rejection. And once you are no longer there to provide that sense of security, he starts to understand that what he had was not just love, it was something rare, something that cannot be easily replaced. A man begins to miss you even more when he realizes that you are a woman of confidence and self-worth. Nothing makes a man reflect more than seeing a woman who refuses to settle for less than she deserves. When you walk away with grace instead of anger, when you choose peace over unnecessary drama, and when you do not beg for the love that should have been given freely, that is when he feels your absence the most. You see, many people expect that when they pull away, you will chase them. They believe that if they create distance, you will run after them to close the gap. But when you choose yourself instead, when you stand firm in knowing that your worth is not tied to whether or not he sees it, that is when he realizes he has lost something truly valuable. A man may take time to understand what he had, but once he does, the regret begins to settle in, because the truth is, nothing is more attractive than a woman who knows her own value. The moment he sees that no one else can replace you, that is when the weight of his decisions starts to crush him. He may have thought that you were just one of many, that he could find someone else to take your place. But love doesn't work that way. Deep connections don't happen every day, and genuine care is not something that can be found easily. At first, he might try to distract himself, thinking that he can move on without much thought. But as time passes, he starts to compare every new person to you. He starts noticing that no one else laughs quite like you did. No one else understands him the way you did. No one else challenges him in the way that made him better. And that is when he truly feels the loss. He begins to realize that what he let go of was not just a person, but an experience, a connection, a love that cannot be duplicated. And that is when he misses you the most, not in the moments when he is surrounded by people, but in the quiet hours of the night when he is left alone with his thoughts. That is when he wishes he could turn back time, when he wishes he had done things differently, when he finally understands that some losses are permanent. And by the time he realizes that, you have already moved on, already stepped into the fullness of your own worth, already living a life where you no longer wait for anyone to see what was always there. A man starts missing you when he realizes your presence brought value to his life. At first, he may not see it. He may take for granted the kindness you showed, the way you listened when he needed to talk, the way you supported him even when he didn't ask for it. He may assume that your love was simply part of his life, something that would always be there no matter what. But when you finally walk away, when you stop giving the energy he never fully appreciated, that's when he starts to notice the difference. He begins to understand that it wasn't just your presence that mattered. It was the peace, comfort, and security you brought. You didn't just exist in his life, you made his life better, even if he didn't realize it at the time. And when that presence is gone, when the warmth and love you provided disappeared, the emptiness left behind is impossible to ignore. A man also begins to miss you when he sees that you are a woman of confidence and self-worth. There's nothing more powerful than a woman who knows her value. When you refuse to beg, when you refuse to lower your standards just to keep someone around, that's when a man truly understands what he has lost. Many men assume that when they pull away, a woman will chase them. They think that if they create distance, you will try harder, fight for them, prove your love. But when you don't do any of that, when you choose yourself, when you walk away with grace instead of anger, when you do not give them the reaction they expected, that's when they feel the loss on a deeper level. They start to question their choices. They start to wonder why you are not chasing them. They start to realize that they were never in control of the situation, because the truth is, the person with the most power in any relationship is the one who is willing to walk away. A man will miss you even more when he realizes that no one else can replace you. At first, he may believe that moving on will be easy. He may think that he can find someone new, that love is replaceable, that what you gave him was not unique, but time has a way of teaching hard lessons. As he meets new people, he starts to see that not everyone loves the way you did. Not everyone understands him the way you did. Not everyone supports him, challenges him, or believes in him the way you did. He may try to distract himself, surround himself with other people, but deep down he knows the truth. What he lost was not just a relationship. He lost a connection that was rare, a bond that not everyone is lucky enough to experience. And the longer he goes without it, the more he realizes that he will never find another you. The moment he sees that you are not waiting for him to come back, that is when missing you becomes unbearable. People always assume that they have time. They assume that they can take as long as they need to figure things out, and that you will be there when they are finally ready. But nothing shakes a man more than seeing a woman who has moved on, who is happy without him, who is thriving in a life he is no longer a part of. That is when regret sets in, when he starts replaying the moments where he could have done things differently. He starts to remember the times he could have appreciated you more, loved you better, chosen you instead of taking you for granted. But by then it is too late, because while he was busy figuring out how he felt about you, you were learning how to live without him. A man starts missing you when he realizes your presence brought value to his life. He may not have noticed it while you were there, but the moment you leave, everything starts to feel different. He begins to see how much lighter life felt with you in it, how much easier things seemed when you were by his side. He might have assumed that your kindness, patience, and love were just parts of the relationship, something expected, something guaranteed. But when he no longer has access to the warmth you brought, he starts to understand that what he lost was more than just a person. It was a source of peace, a safe space, a love that isn't easy to find again. He looks around and realizes that no one else carries that same energy, that same softness, that same understanding, and that is when he starts missing you. He misses you even more when he sees that you are a woman of confidence and self-worth. There is nothing more powerful than a woman who knows she is valuable. When you refuse to beg for love, when you refuse to wait around for someone to decide if they want you, that is when a man starts to feel your absence the most. Many men are used to women trying to prove their worth, chasing after them, holding on to hope that they will change. But when you step back with grace, when you choose yourself over waiting for someone to see your value, that is when the weight of his loss begins to sink in. He expected you to fight for him. Instead, you showed him that you never had to. Because a woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she walks away when she is no longer appreciated. A man truly starts to miss you when he realizes that no one else can replace you. He may try to move on quickly, thinking that he can find someone else to fill the space you left. But time has a way of revealing the truth. He will meet other people, but something will always feel off. The way you understood him, the way you laughed at his jokes, the way you supported his dreams, it's not something he can easily find again. He will look for you in every new person he meets, but the connection won't feel the same. The depth of what you gave him will become even clearer, and he will start to understand that not every woman loves the way you did. Some things simply cannot be replaced. He misses you even more when he realizes that you are not waiting for him to come back. People always assume they have time. They assume that no matter what happens, they can return whenever they are ready. But nothing shakes a man more than realizing that he has lost his place in your life. That moment when he sees that you have moved on, that you are no longer waiting for him, is the moment he understands what he truly lost. He sees you smiling, growing, thriving without him. And that is when regret sets in. He begins to replay the moments when he could have done things differently, when he could have chosen you instead of taking you for granted. But by the time he realizes it, you are already too far gone. And the hardest part for him is knowing that missing you doesn't mean he gets a second chance. He can miss you every day, but that doesn't mean you will return. Because while he was busy taking you for granted, you were learning how to live without him. And once a woman fully realizes her own worth, there is no going back. A man starts missing you when he realizes your presence brought value to his life. At first, he may not recognize it. He may assume that the love, care, and energy you gave were just a natural part of his world, something that would always be there. But the moment you step away, the moment you remove the comfort of your presence, he starts to feel the difference. He notices the silence where your laughter used to be. He sees the gaps where your support once held him up. He begins to realize that what you brought to his life wasn't just love, it was peace, encouragement, and a sense of belonging that he can't find just anywhere. He starts to reflect on the way you understood him in ways no one else did. How you stood by him when he doubted himself, how you believed in him when no one else did. And once he realizes that, the regret begins to settle in because he now understands that the presence he took for granted was actually the greatest gift he had. He misses you when he sees that you are a woman of confidence and self-worth. There is nothing more powerful than a woman who refuses to beg for the love she deserves. Many men assume that a woman will fight for them, that she will wait, that she will always be available no matter how she is treated. But when a woman knows her value, she doesn't chase. She doesn't argue for the bare minimum. She doesn't try to convince anyone of her worth. Instead, she walks away with grace, knowing that the right man will recognize what she brings without needing to lose her first. And that is when he starts missing you the most. He expected you to hold on, but instead you show him that you never had to. The moment he realizes that he is not the prize that you are is the moment his world begins to shift. He misses you even more when he realizes that no one else can replace you. At first, he may think he can move on easily. He may believe that love is replaceable, that there will always be someone else. But the truth is, real connections are rare. And the love you gave him is not something he will find with just anyone. As time goes on, he begins to compare every new person to you. He starts to see that not everyone listens the way you did. Not everyone supports him the way you did. Not everyone understands him the way you did. He may try to convince himself that he has moved on, but deep down, he knows that something is missing. He will look for you in every person he meets, but no one will ever quite measure up. And that is when the weight of his loss truly settles in. He misses you when he realizes that you are not waiting for him. Most men believe they have time. They think that no matter what, they can return when they are ready, that you will always be there. But nothing shakes a man more than seeing a woman who has moved on, who has chosen herself, who is no longer waiting for his love. That moment when he realizes that he has lost his place in your life is the moment he understands what he truly had. And by then, it is too late. The absence of a truly valuable woman is something that no distraction can fill. He may try to keep himself busy, surround himself with other people, convince himself that he is fine, but when the world quiets down, when he is left alone with his thoughts, that is when he feels it the most. The regret, the longing, the realization that what he lost was something he will never find again. And that is when missing you becomes more than just a passing thought. It becomes a mistake he will carry with him for the rest of his life.